It's just the three of us. Just you and me and Ella.
It's so beautiful!
Wow. Hey.
There was a shadow on the wall.
I know it's fun, but it's time to sleep. Good night, honey. Does this wall look right to you?
What are you doing?
26 feet. 21. This room is 5 feet longer on the inside than it is on the outside.
How does that work?
It doesn't.
Anything?
Somebody wrote in my journal. Do you like it here?
The right ones usually find the place. The place finds them.
In the opening moments, a spooky shadow creeps toward the stairway. Theo Conroy woke up from a terrible nightmare. He went to check on his sleeping daughter. Ella was fast asleep in her bed. Theo takes some meds to handle his anxiety. Lately, he's been bothered by bad dreams all the time. The next morning, Theo's wife, Susanna, headed to her gig. The couple seemed happy, even with their age gap. They live as a close family in a big house. Later, Theo visited his wife at the filming location, but the production assistant told him he couldn't come in. It looks like he knows who Theo is. Susanna is an actress. Theo felt jealous of his wife and her coworkers. Plus, a lot of people think Theo is Susanna's dad, not her husband. After saying bye to her colleague, Susanna talked to her husband about the day's shoot. It was a cool experience for her, even though it was a bit revealing. Of course, Theo wasn't cool with it, but Susanna isn't going to ditch her job for his demands. Later, Theo suggested a family trip to get away from everything. Susanna had a 2-week break before her next shoot, so she was down. The family soon hit the road. They traveled to a remote place, far from city life. When Susanna spaced out while driving, they almost had a crash. Their travels finally came to an end. They rented a fancy mansion in the countryside. Ella was pumped, just like Susanna. The only bummer was the no cell service thing. However, Theo was even stoked about that. 6-year-old Ella wonders what happens to people when they go to heaven. Theo doesn't believe in heaven, but promised his daughter their family would always be connected. Before bedtime, Ella was playing with her shadow. At one moment, she was scared by a huge shape. Her dad came into the room and said it was bedtime. Of course, he didn't buy Ella's story about someone being here. After telling his daughter goodnight, Theo split. She hid beneath the covers, freaked out. The massive black figure reappeared. The thermostat was busted, so the night would be cold. Susanna promised to hit up the landlord tomorrow. The couple talks about their history, not knowing their daughter is listening in. When her parents saw Ella, she took off back to her room. After checking on his daughter, Theo shut off all the lights in the rooms, while Susanna waited for him in the bedroom to binge a TV series. Suddenly, a door opened on its own. This made Theo feel nervous. He saw a creepy picture on the wall, but didn't pay it much mind. Just as Theo left, the lights came back on again. When Theo went back into the bedroom, Susanna had already crashed. Theo was confused, not knowing he had been gone for a few hours. During the night, Theo was tormented by bad dreams again. In the morning, he found a note from his wife saying she and their daughter had gone for a walk. Following his therapist's advice, Theo uses a journal to deal with his stuff. Meanwhile, Ella was climbing a tree. The mom told her to come down, but she didn't listen. At one point, Ella asked why everyone hated her dad so much. Susanna kept on bugging her daughter to come down. Suddenly, Ella fell, but her mom was able to catch her. Later, Susanna told Ella that the father's ex-wife, Caroline, passed away after passing out in a bathtub from a drug overdose. It was an accident, but a lot of people blamed Theo for what went down. He was a rich banker, so his rivals wanted the situation to go to trial. However, the judge and the jury found Theo innocent. Of course, his rivals were not happy with the verdict. The whole thing was a big deal on TV. Overwhelmed by his anxiety, Theo checked out a local shop. The weird-looking shopkeeper suddenly asked if anything strange had happened and if they had seen Stettler. Theo has no clue what the shopkeeper is talking about. Before Theo left, the shopkeeper gave him a ruler and suggested he measure the house's angles. Near his car, Theo ran into a woman who said that Stettler had already stopped by. Theo thought that everyone around him was nuts. Upon getting home, Theo instantly knew that his daughter was clued in on Caroline. Theo hates that his wife told Ella without talking to him first. They had planned to have this chat when Ella turned 7, but Susanna said they couldn't wait anymore. During their dinner, every family member was quiet. Suddenly, Ella placed her small hand on her father's hand. Theo showed his daughter he was thankful for her support. In the evening, while Susanna was in the bath, Theo decided to sneak a peek at her phone. He knew the password, so he could easily check the messages. However, Theo found nothing shady on the device. Then, Theo decided to check Susanna's tablet and laptop, but he also found nothing damning there. He realized that he could trust his wife. Theo also felt she made the right call by spilling the beans to Ella. During the night, Theo was woken up once more by a nightmare. But even when he's awake, he's still haunted by terrible memories from his past. Upon opening his journal, Theo found a note telling him to split right away. Suddenly, some odd noises were loud. When Theo turned his head, his reflection didn't follow. This happened a second time. Theo heard the sounds again and saw a third door that had never been there before. Theo walked down the stairs into a dark hallway. Suddenly, a female figure popped up and then vanished behind him. Theo asked if anyone was around. At that moment, someone snapped a picture of him using a flash. A ton of photos of Theo and his family were all over the ground. The man couldn't believe that any of this was real. Upon seeing his daughter's toy, and then Ella herself, Theo freaked out and held her. He got that the same thing had happened to her as with Caroline. Theo started slapping his cheeks and hurting himself to wake up from this bad dream. And a few moments later, he actually woke up in his bed. Theo told his wife about the weird door he had seen in his dream. He also showed her the photo of the hallway. Susanna promised him that he had not left their bed or the room during the night. Theo straight up asked his wife how she felt about the house. She said she didn't like it. Theo was totally on the same page with her, so the couple chose to leave right away. After packing, Susanna went outside to play with their daughter. Seeing this sweet moment through the window, Theo decided to send his wife a text. However, Susanna's phone was on the table while she was holding a different phone in her hands. Theo instantly figured out that his wife was cheating on him. Opening his diary, Theo saw that exact same note again. That's when he realized that the nightmare was real life. Outside, after telling his daughter to go inside, Theo showed his wife her other phone. She came clean that she had a secret lover. His name is Max. They had worked together on a movie in Mexico. Theo was sure that Max was here and was writing in his diary, but Susanna claimed that was crazy. She also finds it weird that her husband isn't even yelling at her. He calmly asked her to leave until morning, but without Ella. Susanna didn't want to bail on their daughter, but Theo was firm. He needed to spend the night alone and think about their future. After pulling over on the road, Susanna cries inside the car. It is her fault that their family is messed up. Ella told her dad that she hates being here. Also, she is always having nightmares. Theo promised that they would leave the next day. When the mom came back with the car, holding his daughter, Theo noticed that the water on the floor was defying gravity. The man did the experiment again. Both he and Ella found what they saw unsettling. Recalling the ruler, Theo tried to measure the angles. Theo measured the angle, which turned out to be all messed up, even though the wall looked totally straight to the floor. Theo wanted to get a handle on this mystery, so he measured the wall's distance, first from the room's inside and then from the outside. From the inside, the room's length was longer. Theo can't wrap his head around how this could be. Ella felt cold and went back into the house to get her jacket. But after the girl left the room, she never showed up in the hallway. A worried Theo went into the house to look for her. His daughter's jacket was near the doorway. At first, Theo thought Ella was playing a prank on him, but it quickly became obvious that something was wrong here. Meanwhile, Ella found herself inside that same creepy hallway, yelling for her dad. Entering one of the doors, Theo ended up in the kitchen. This was impossible because the kitchen is in a different part of the house. So as not to get completely lost, Theo put a chair in one of the doorways. At that moment, Theo saw a long hallway stretching before him. Meanwhile, Ella kept on crying out for her father. When a door opened, the girl went inside. Theo can't understand how this place is set up. Eventually, this path led him to that exact door from his nightmare. Through that door, Theo went into the gloomy corridor. Ella found herself in another house. There was a chick in the bathtub. When the woman stood up, Ella screamed. Theo was able to hear her scream. The girl was talking with the man from her nightmare. The man freaked her out, and she bounced. Theo and Ella search for each other in this never-ending, weird hallway. Hearing his daughter's voice super close, Theo broke the door. The dark hallway disappeared, and the father and daughter were back together. Theo called Susanna, but her phone was off. Theo had no choice but to call the shopkeeper. He asked for info on how to call a cab. The shopkeeper said that no taxi service exists here. He also told him that the house's angles never meet. But that's not the only weird thing. A different house stood on that same plot before. And before the house, there was a tower linked to a bunch of ghost stories. Theo is shocked to see pictures of different people pop up on the wall. At one moment, instead of the shopkeeper's voice, Theo heard a man's voice declare, "I am always here." It is now nighttime, but Theo planned to bounce with his daughter. They didn't even grab any of their stuff. The door would not unlock at all. Why don't you unlock the door? He panicked and forgot. The father and daughter planned to walk to the village. When they looked back, they saw a silhouette in the window that vanished shortly after. It was pitch black and freezing outside. The path ran through the woods, and Ella is super scared of animal sounds. Lights suddenly appeared ahead. Theo was horrified to realize they had returned to the same house. Ella can't figure out why this happened, since they had been moving forward. It is freezing outside, but the girl refused to enter this terrifying house. The father said they had no other choice, or they would freeze. Theo promised his daughter he would protect her, and her mom would save them tomorrow. Before falling asleep, Ella asked her father if he still cared for her mom. Theo answered that he does. However, there are complications in grown-up relationships. Theo also told his daughter that success and money had always been easy for him. He was a guy not worth looking up to. But then one day, Ella came into his life. This made him get what living really means. Ella and Theo eventually fell asleep. Suddenly, someone took a picture with a bright flash. Upon waking up, Theo heard someone filling the bathtub with water. He went to check it out, but the tub was empty. The door automatically closed on its own. The father and daughter were once again separated. Theo found himself back in his old nightmare from the past. In the middle of the room, there was a bathtub overflowing with water. Theo rushed to find his daughter. Upon forcing open another door, he saw a vision of himself. Theo jotted a message in his journal telling himself to bail at once. Theo felt as if he was in the past. One part of the scene was replaced by another. Theo wanted to escape, but the staircase before him became endless. The laws of physics are not valid in this house. In spite of everything, Theo managed to get to the second floor. He kept on calling for his daughter, and at one point saw Susanna through the window. Suddenly, Theo was back in that spooky room. Stettler stood before him, saying he has many faces and names. Theo demanded that Stettler let Ella go, as she was not at fault for anything. But Stettler said that kids must pay for the wrongs of their dads. Theo launched an attack on Stettler, yelling that he was innocent. Yet his hits were useless against Stettler, who took Theo's form and said that it was not him keeping Ella here, but Theo himself. For the girl to be free, Theo must let her go. Ella found her father, who hugged her and said sorry for his lies. Ella has tons of love for her dad, and what he did in the past is not a big deal to her. Theo told his daughter to go back home and held her in his arms. Susanna was already waiting for them, barely holding back her tears. Theo looked at his daughter for one last time. She also knew deep down that this was their last meeting. With tears in her eyes, Susanna begged her husband to join them. She wanted them to be a real family again. For the first time ever, Theo admitted to his wife that he was indeed to blame for Caroline's death. He could have saved her, but he chose not to, because she had made his life a nightmare. Theo realized that his rightful place was here now. Once again, inside the house, Theo watched through the window as he left with his daughter. He was indeed that ghost-like figure in the window. There are always people staying in this house, and some of them will never leave.